It's Wednesday, the 19th of November, 2025. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 big stories to race through in just 5 minutes. Let's get cracking. Story number 1, Commonwealth Bank boss Matt Comyn has hit out against the global tech giants and regulators, saying the local lenders are disadvantaged by policy settings which are not necessarily in the national interest.
Before a House of Representatives Economics Committee yesterday, Comyn was critical of the Reserve Bank's proposal to ban surcharges on card transactions. He also had a crack at the ACCC, saying it made a mistake 10 years ago when it didn't allow the major banks to collectively bargain against Apple when that company entered the local payment system. Comyn's argument, in short, is that technology is changing the banking landscape. Policymakers could be doing more to support the big lenders. As part of that, the payment sector should be considered a critical industry. Now, Comyn gave some examples. The banks must ensure there's cash in the economy. They've got to maintain rural branches. They're uneconomic activities. The banks have to carry the bill, while other payment providers, Apple, for example, they don't have to worry about it. What about the Commonwealth Bank spending $1 billion a year to fight financial crime, scams and fraud? The tech giants must also pay their fair share, Comyn says. Also, local lenders need to hold capital against their loans, not something the global tech companies need to do. In the case of surcharges on cards, the Reserve Bank is penalising domestic banks in favour of global players, Comyn said. Now, Westpac boss Anthony Miller was also appearing. He agreed, saying there needs to be a level playing field for all players.
Sean, it was a pretty spirited appearance by Matt Comyn yesterday. He debated the bank's social licence versus its margins. He also supported the idea of a rural banking levy, which Treasury's been pushing to offset costs for providing banking services in the bush. But, Sean, do you think he has a point around the unfair playing field?
I mean, yes, absolutely. But like happened in music, media, pretty much every other industry, the banks are being disrupted. Don't forget also the banks still have an enormous advantage over the tech players because they are regulated and they can take deposits. You know, we put our pay, for example, into a bank account. We put term deposits in. That's money the bank can lend out and make money for themselves. So he has a point, but it's only half the story.
Okay, on to story number 2. The minutes of the Reserve Bank board meeting 2 weeks ago show that the central bank has no plans to cut rates unless inflation data shows fewer price pressures in the economy.
The minutes say September headline and underlying inflation readings were significantly higher than forecast and happened across a range of categories for which inflation is typically more persistent. The money line in it, there could be a little more underlying inflationary pressure than previously assessed. The bank also said the potential for a severe downside impact from US tariffs had subsided. The local economy is set to hit its potential growth rate by the end of the year. The minutes very much support the view that that another interest rate cut is not assured. Yesterday, the Commonwealth Bank boss Matt Comyn said he didn't think one was coming, though Westpac's boss Anthony Miller, he forecast 2 rate cuts next year.
Story number 3, the local share market finished down nearly 2% yesterday, the second worst session in 2025.
Those minutes from the Reserve Bank didn't help, nor did a soft night on Wall Street. Really wasn't a good day. More than $60 billion wiped off the bourse. By the close, the S&P ASX 200 was down 2% to 8,469 points. About 85% of companies fell. Commonwealth Bank was again lower, down 2.6% to $153.22 a share. It means the ASX's large companies off 20%. Since its high in late June, all the banks were sold off, so to the big miners, BHP closed down 4%. Not even the gold companies could avoid it, as you said, Michael. The second worst day of the year. The worst day of the year, Michael, the day after the tariffs were imposed by Donald Trump.
Story number 4. A user of an old Samsung model phone has died after their call to 000 failed. The customer's carrier, TPG Telecom, said the services on its network were fully operational and there were no outages at the time.
The telco regulator, the Australian Communications and Media Authority, said it's investigating whether TPG breached any of its obligations. TPG said it had already notified users of older Samsung models that they needed to update software to continue being able to make emergency calls, and it released the information about the customer yesterday for transparency reasons. Now, in late October, customers with out-of-date phones were given 28 to 35 days to replace handsets or update software, or their service would be cut off. Monday's death came before that period had elapsed. It comes after 3 deaths were linked to an outage of 000 on Optus's network back in September.
Last one, story number 5. Not much good news in today's show, Sean. The number of personal insolvencies has risen for the third year in a row as the cost of living crisis hurts households and small businesses.
Australia recorded 12,257 personal insolvencies last financial year, up 5%. According to the Australian Financial Security Authority, volumes remain below pre-COVID-19 levels, but I'm afraid the trend is not our friend in this. Too much debt was the main reason, followed by unemployment and business failure. Nearly half of all debtors owed less than $50,000. Nearly half of all new debtors had buy now, pay later debts. And among debtors aged 29 years or younger, that figure was 2/3.
There we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Wednesday, the 19th of November, 2025. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.